What do you say we do this again, huh? All right. Let's see. Let's bring Epidemic Sound back up. I tell you, this has been a fun time. I hope all of you are having as much fun as I have been having. Bam, bam. Alrighty. Alright, let's try this one more game. One more game. And we're back. Repost. Let's do this one more time. Anybody in the chat? Make sure we're not messing up YouTube. Okay. Hopefully that looks a little better for you guys. Hey, Uncommon EDC is back. Thank you so much, brother, for coming back. Let's try this again. I'm just spreading all the love real quick, and then we'll jump right back into things, see if we can't get something going. Alrighty. Yeah, I realized that apparently in my settings, I was at too high of a bit rate. So I'll see how that affects the video moving forward, but you know. Oh. Well, thank you for coming back. Let's see if we can't finish a live stream, finish our drinks, possibly edit some videos. I think that would be really cool. I'm really curious as to the quality if I can get my photo editor up. I want you guys to see what I do. Transition. It's still not showing you my... Oh, wait, maybe it's coming up. Let's see. There we have it. Come on. Hopefully it comes up for you guys here. Doesn't seem like it's going to do it. Hey, Cali Hiker. Thank you for joining us. I was trying to do some editing here. I think that just my settings are not good enough to handle both programs at the same time, so, you know, unfortunately, I'm going to have to maybe put it on pause. All right. Well, we can talk about the normal stuff. So, anyways, I guess going back to what I was saying previously, what are you guys flipping today? So I've got a whole bunch of knives in front of me, as always. Always gotta, you know, show off the Chavez. Beautiful scapegoat. You know, as far as knives go, I think this would be the last one I sell. If I ever had to, was in a position where I was forced to sell all of my knives. Just because it's such a unique knife and it really speaks to me. I absolutely love Lava Flow carbon fiber. Usual questions. Do I sound good? Audio good? Music good? Everything sounding right? If I need to adjust anything, let me know, people. I wonder if there's any new drops coming up today. If any of you know, Ron Kwok, Live With Purpose EDC, has some collaborative gear coming out. So keep an eye out. You probably want to jump into Data Crew's secret email list. So let's see if we can get in there. Data Crew. Alrighty. So of course, if you go to Data Crew, scroll down to the bottom and you want to join their email list. Carrying Uncommon EDC. Sound is good. Thank you very much. Carrying a Finch Buffalo Tooth. That's interesting. And the new Jack Wolf Knives Sharpshooter Jack. I love it. I got confused between the Gunslinger and the Sharpshooter. So I believe the Gunslinger is the front flipper. That's actually the one that I want. fan. I did do a video. This was the last video that I actually created. A little unboxing here for Ocaso knives. This is the Wharncliffe Solstice deep carry pocket clip designed by, I believe, Andrew Demko. Very gentlemanly knife to carry. I mean, once you put it in the pocket, it simply disappears. And all you see is that little clip. So, if you're ever in a situation where you want to carry, but you don't want to look like you're carrying, Ocaso knives Solstice, very discreet. Yeah, the gunslinger. It's the flipper. I love it. You see, I love flippers. I'm not too much of a fan of actual, the walk and talks. So, just not my thing. Classic. Always carry a tactical pterodactyl. I was recently offered quite a bit of money for someone who wanted to buy this from me. I did post it for sale a while back, but I kind of took it back because it's just such a badass knife. I loved the jimping on top. We have an Ian Coates in the building. Ian, glad you're finally here. We've been waiting just for you. So, how do I sound? Tell me the good, tell me the bad, Ian, so I know that you won't hold back. I realized that part of the issues I was having is that I was signed out. Like, I have to re-sign into all of my Google accounts, which, by the way, I have 3 Google accounts, and I had to re-sign into them. So that was actually very annoying. Still very annoying. Yes. So, I was waiting until we had a few more people in the chat to actually talk about my audio and what happened and why it actually sounds so much better now. Please don't freeze on me again. Whoever was watching the last video that I started, the first live stream, I froze while taking a drink. So, I wonder if there's a way for me to show you guys a little bit of how I edit photos. Anybody have any questions about photography in general? Not saying that I'm an expert by any means. I've just gone through a lot of trial and error myself. I've had a lot of very good people help me along the way. So I figured maybe I would take today to just kind of chat with you guys a little bit about what I do and how I do it. So, if there's anything that you want to ask me, please go ahead. If not, I'll just talk. I'll ramble. So, for example, this photo right here. If anybody's curious about how I did that, I personally do not use Photoshop for anything. I'm against Photoshop only because I want a photo to be as real as possible, as sincere, in my opinion, as close to the original. But every now and then Photoshop does come in handy. So with this photo, what I did was that is a piece of wood, a wooden tray that I have, and I flipped it over on its bottom. I put a piece of black project board in the background, And what if I can just pull it up here? There it is. Boom, boom, boom. Hello, where's the window? I hope we're not freezing up again. That was just crazy. I do not want to put anyone through all of that. I'm curious though as to why I can't get my photo to come up. Well, anyways, there's one photo. There we go. There's the beauty. The Arius. So. And my music stopped, of course. Okay. So if you notice here, this was that wooden board I flipped upside down. I put a black project board just behind it, so there's the end of it back there. But what I did was I held it just far enough away, and I took my light source, which is a softbox, and I literally put it right here to the right. And then on the left side, I took another project board, but I used the white side to kind of bounce the light off. So it's the same as if I had two light sources literally on either side of it. So from there, I just took a photo of the wood itself, and then it was very carefully timed where I held it exactly at the right place, and I literally held this knife in my hand. And then Photoshop is incredible enough to where you can identify the object itself and eliminate certain aspects. So I actually cut my hand out of the photo and then just Photoshop this image into the image of the wood. So essentially this is a photo and this is a photo, two separate photos, but I counted it for myself because technically I did take both photos. They're in the same place at the same time. It's not like I, you know, took a knife and photoshopped the galaxy with planets and volcanoes all around it. But you know, that's kind of how I went through this one. A lot of people have asked me how I did this, so simple answer is I held it in my hand and I used Photoshop. So yeah, there you have it. I've been doing a lot of photos lately for a watch company called Monterey. So that's why I had this photo up earlier. Oh gosh. Let's blow this puppy up, why don't we? I'm gonna check the chat in just a second. I have to basically resize this whole image. Alrighty, so, bam. Okay. All right. Now this image. So. Hey, Zakaria OTT. Thank you for joining us. So right now we are kind of just going through some photos that I've done. Kind of how I edited them. You know, feel free to just chill and chat. Ask any questions that you like. Watch photos can be very, I mean, all photos, generally the setup is difficult, I think, but watch photos are more difficult because you have to make sure that there's no light reflecting off the actual glass itself, no glare. So as you can see here, I've actually got my light source at kind of an angle directly to the right here. So that way you get a perfect from here to here kind of crisp highlight. But the rest of the watch isn't good. You know, there's no glare coming off of it. Some people do, there's different ways to do it. Some people like to do it from the top. So have the light source directly from the top. Some people like a 45-degree angle. I tend to like the side of it because then it casts a nice shadow. So it's everyone's preference. You know, photography is really manipulating light and shadow. So also I wanted the light source on this side to kind of make sure I had light on the Zon over there. And then just enough light here on my Erling EDC coin. The rope. A lot of times what I do in a photo like this, because there's so much light that's right in front of it, by the way, the light was literally maybe not even 2 feet away from the actual photo here. So I have the light very close because obviously if you know cameras, my settings tend to be, you know, I don't want to shake while I'm taking a photo, and I'm using a 105mm lens. Quick tip, any type of lens millimeter that you're using, generally you want to double it with your shutter speed so that you're not shaking and there's no blur. So I need it to be at least 1/210 or more. So I actually had it at 250 to take this photo. This was at 3.2, so I had good focus with the actual watch case itself, and then everything else is kind of blurry around it. So, you know, I'm careful with when I do what I consider a product photo like this, because I want to make sure that I catch every characteristic that a person is going to want to see in the product. So, you know, obviously I don't want to have the watch kind of laying off to the side here and be a little blurry while everything else takes up the photo. Another quick tip, another element, as you can see, I actually filtered right here a little bit of a dark area there, a little desaturated and dark that way. Yeah, there's vignetting in each corner, but I particularly wanted this dark because it was brighter and I didn't want that to kind of catch anyone's attention. Hey, we've got Brandon, Everyday Minimalist, EDM in the house. Brother, if you have some tips that you would like to add, I think everybody that is here would love to hear them. So, just kind of talking a little bit of what I do in photos. I was going to go through and actually edit this photo from scratch, but my Lightroom, I guess I can't run both programs at the same time, so it wouldn't let me do that. So, anyways. Alrighty. Uh-oh, I think I've lost my light. Amateur move, Brad. Okay. And we're back. Alrighty. Well, I think I've lost a lot of people here, but that's okay. If you have any questions, anyone that's in the chat currently, feel free to ask me at any time. Again, I want to make sure that if there are questions about photo editing, I want to kind of focus on photos, photography, because that's a lot of what we do. That's why I'm in the position I'm in now, is because I took photos of knives, and they they were cool enough that people said, oh, that's cool. And then one thing leads to another, you start taking more photos, and then you collect more gear because you have to have more gear to take more photos. And now, here I am talking about it. So, you know, I've got a ton of gear always laid out on my desk, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm starting to transition my photography more towards watches. As you can see here, that is the Omega Swatch. Kind of hard to see it from this angle, but and also I really want to make sure that I do something for my fidget gear, because I do have a bunch of fidget gear actually. Sit right. Well, I'm gonna grab my gift here in just a second. So, bam, I always carry this pouch. I really adore it. Obviously, it's got some of my favorite patches here. What I've been keeping in this is some fidgets. Bam. That is the Segaiha Laudier Shuffle in copper. So, really cool fidget toy to carry. It doesn't do anything other than click like that, but it could also double as a bit of a worry stone. I mean, it's got really nice beveled, whatever you want to call it, edges. You can actually focus there. So, really smooth to the touch. It's fun to just kind of just roll it in your fingers. I have the Fubar. Kind of reminds me of Men in Black, you know, when you just, he pops it up and he takes the flash. So, Fubar action there. This is the Pixel logo, because obviously it's Pixel Co. Something I don't really show very often. Boom. You can hear it. So that is the Laudier Mechanic H. I guess the siding here resembles in some form or fashion. I don't know. I don't know why he called it an H, but the Mechanic C is actually smooth all the way around. It's more like a tire. Obviously I have the fantastic Pixel Co. Castle Grayscale. Mark Bassa, Anthony Diaz. Oh, by the way, today is Anthony Diaz's birthday. So everybody run over to Facebook or Instagram and wish Anthony a happy birthday. So, bam. It's another really cool fidget. I got this early on in my fidget adventure. So, another favorite that people tend to like. So, anyways, that's a couple of my fidgets. I've had more in the past, but those have kind of gone away. Let's see here. Um, Another thing I tend to like to talk about during some of these live streams is the makers. You know, a lot of this stuff is not um, mass produced, I should say. I mean, you have some things, of course, that are, I mean, tactile turn, I would consider more of a mass produced item just because they make a bunch of these pens. They're pretty readily available. You can buy them at any time. So, this one actually I was gifted as a Christmas present. Boom. Got my name on it. So, fun pen to play with. Let's get some music back. So on my Instagram, by the way, I think I'm up to roughly 1,600 followers. I'm probably gonna have to do a giveaway soon. I don't know when. I'm gonna plan it. I'll let everyone know. But it's gonna happen. You know, just to thank you to all the people that actually like my content. Hey, OB, welcome back, finally. You know, I've been talking a lot, OB, just kind of, essentially just talking to the camera. I don't know if there's actually anybody else in the chat currently, so, but that's okay. Do you have any questions about photo editing? I mean, obviously you and I talk every day, so, you know, you had a really cool live stream with Gio the other day. I thought that was pretty amazing. I'm definitely gonna have to jump on a live stream with you and Gio at some point, and Mikey. Let's see. Yeah, I'm up to 1604. So yeah, I'm at 1,600 followers. So definitely time to celebrate a little bit of that. So yeah, I don't know if you heard, since you just jumped in, OB, I'm going to have to do maybe a giveaway soon. Just for my Instagram. You know, if I hit 2,000 followers, when I do hit 2,000, I think I'm going to do a bigger giveaway. You know, something a little bit more special. But we'll see. We'll see when I get there. So, I think one of the major things I really need to focus on is, of course, videos. So, I'm going to start making videos. I know I say that quite often, but so OB, you use an iPhone 14 Pro camera for Instagram photos. What app would you prefer for editing on a mobile platform? Easy. Okay, so let me show you here. Okay. Bam. This is my phone. So you see these apps? I use each and every one of them. So over here, you can do Photoshop Express if you want to do anything like overlay an image. I have done that just for kind of small things, just something to look cool. Lens distortions. Oh, come on now. Lens distortions. So this is actually a fun app. Yep, Snapseed. I see you use VSCO. Okay. No. Okay. So you can do these for free. You can do little projects. When you start a project, you can do, you can add lighting. Really, that's what it does for me. So, for example, in this photo, you can see I took a photo of this car. I was trying to catch a reflection. And there's kind of like the finished version. You know, again, I just do small things. I try not to do too much with apps that overly enhance photos. I like a photo to be true to its nature as much as possible. That's where Lightroom comes in. So Lightroom is my favorite app. Oh, there's another car photo I just took. I had a client at my work buy a Audi, so he asked me to do some photos for him. You know, this photo, you know, I might show you guys on my phone just how I edit things, but a lot of times I actually take the photo from my camera to have the best quality that I could possibly manage to have. I transfer it from the camera straight to my phone. Hey, Zero Bytes, welcome back. Yes, I'm back. I am fully fledged and committed to this live stream now. So let's have some fun with it. Canva is a good app as well. I know you can do a lot of cool things with Canva. Mostly, I've only played with certain things, such as like designing a logo, designing something for my son's birthday. But I mean, there's a massive amount of stuff that you can do with Canva. It's an amazing thing. I actually have Canva. Oh no, I don't. I had Canva pulled out. Mostly I use Adobe Lightroom for the mobile. You can pretty much do everything that the main app does. So for example, in this photo, that's the original. That's my final copy. Just settings wise, so you can see I don't do too much other than I really take away the highlights, up the shadows, because obviously the photo was very dark to start with. So there's the photo so that I up the shadows. The whites. Now I up the whites in this, and yeah, I dropped the highlights so that I could have a little bit more clarity on the image itself. And then I actually upped the whites because the whites tend to make it pop just a little bit more. And in this image, I wanted that the light here to really kind of catch people's eye. Family. In terms of color, you can see there, I don't adjust too much there, but when you go to the color mix, so when you can go in and edit each individual color, that's where I do all my changes. So, you know, I took away a little bit of the cyan, took away a little bit of the blue. And you may ask, well, the photo looks blue, and that's because I dropped the temperature from hot a little bit more to cold, just because I like the aesthetic of it. I don't like things to be overly warm and yellow. But what's ironic, I actually took the opposite approach. Everything I just told you I took the opposite approach when I did this photo. So in this photo, I went the opposite. You know how I dropped the highlights and up the whites? Well, on this one, I actually dropped the whites and I upped the highlights. The reason for that is because in this photo, right here, the whites kind of help make this look a little bit more timey, like old-timey, a little faded. I raised the blacks right here. So in my shadows, I dropped the shadows to darken it, but I still, you can, in a tone curve, you can lift the shadows. And that creates this faded, timey look. And that's kind of what I was going for here. Just because I wanted a little bit more of a nautical theme. Somebody who might be, you know, in this photo, the feeling I was going for is somebody who is in the field, maybe near an ocean, maybe they do some heavy projects where they gotta cut things, you know, maybe go to a bar or something after, and they got the challenge coin, they gotta do some betting or flip a coin for something. You know, you're in the field because this is a field watch. So you're not in the comfort of your own home in like a nice house where you're wearing something like, hang on, I have this other photo, let me see. So for example, this one, where'd it go? Okay, well, I guess I'm just showing you all my edits. So yeah, so this photo here. In this photo, I was going for more of a guy who is, clearly he actually had a Harley Davidson motorcycle. The watch is the Bayou by Monterey Watch Company. Hey Chris, thank you for joining. Geo, you're back. Welcome back to the chat. Just kind of update anybody that's joining. I've just been kind of going through some photos and talking about how and why I edit things. So, you know, feel free to comment, feel free to ask questions. But kind of going back to this, in this one, I really like the touch of this NATO strap. The orange, the black, really complements this watch in such a fantastic way. This guy had a Harley Davidson. He had just bought it, and I wanted to kind of have that, you know, that feeling of the guy's just getting on the motorcycle for the first time, and bam, he's rocking his new watch. So, yeah, that's what I was going for here. You know, and again, in some photos, it really just depends. So in this one, I dropped the highlights so that I can have a little bit more clarity on the bezel, on the product itself, without too much glare. And I dropped the whites a bit because the motorcycle itself was a glaring white, and I wanted it, again, to feel a little bit more, not timeless, but not quite something new, almost like the motorcycle itself, as if it had a patina in the white. You know, if that kind of makes sense. So, let me see. I have a bunch of photos I don't think I've actually shown a lot of people, such as. Alrighty, let's look at this one. Bam. Okay. I don't know if anybody recognizes this, but Look at that. That's a coin right there. That is one of my favorite coins. It comes in this case. And the case is kind of resembling something that you would consider a compass. It's got this compass needle. So it's got this needle right here that folds down as if it's pointing on a compass. There's actually a glass over here covering the coin itself. There's a mirror in the side here. And this coin, you unscrew the bottom of this. This whole thing is a brass case. It's so cool. You unscrew the bottom, and the coin comes out of the bottom of it. And then there's a trident on the other side of this coin that slides into a slot at the top of the coin here, and it flips the Pete's Pirate Life logo to the other side, which is the other logo, which is Fly the Flag. So, really cool coin. I kind of wanted to focus here. You know, there's so many angles that someone could do on a photo. So I wanted, first of all, this is just my desk, which I have trouble shooting photos on this desk because the wood is, it's not a true wood. So it's kind of got a glossy finish to it, and that reflects light way too much, so I don't like that. So I did top down to kind of eliminate a lot of that light glare, but then over here, since there's a glass piece over this, you can kind of see there's a little bit of light glare on the glass itself right there. So again, what I did in this photo to really focus is drop the highlights, drop the whites, so there's nothing overly glaring, shiny. That way, you can see the vignetting, all of this vignetting here that kind of draws the attention right to the middle. And then I adjust the colors. Again, I lifted the shot, so I darken everything. So it's got this nice dark feeling to it. You know, it's a pirate coin. You know, essentially when you think of pirates, you're thinking in the hull of a ship. They've got a lantern as their only light, so there's a lot of shadow. But you can see here, it's really hard to tell if you haven't looked at it a lot, but right here, the black is almost lit, if you can say it that way. So what I do is a tone curve lifts the blacks. And so that is what I do there on a tone curve. I'll have to kind of show you guys here on my phone what I mean. And we're back. Hey guys. Let's see. A photo that gotta find a good one for you. Okay. So this photo. This is a fidget that I used to have. I actually sold it. But, you know, in this one, I was capturing multiple elements of this fidget. Mostly, it's a spinner. So you can see it's actually currently spinning. So I wanted to, it's an element of photography that actually makes you feel like the photo's alive. Because it's not smooth, so it wasn't spinning fast enough to where you just can't see it. But it's just enough to where you actually see, you can tell, even though it's a still photo, you can tell that that thing is moving. So it makes you feel a little bit more like the photo's alive. So when I spun it, I wanted you to focus on, of course, you know, there, don't play with the devil. So essentially, when you look at this photo, it's alive, don't play with the devil. It's got a lot of feeling in it. But you notice it's very dark around the edges because, again, there's no need to look at anything else. I want all the attention drawn in. Yeah, a little bit of long exposure, that's right. So one thing I really want to show you guys here, in the app, if you notice, there's this icon here that says curve. So if we touch that, bam. So this is a curve. This is a tone curve. Very important. It adjusts the tone. So as you can see at the bottom here, this line starts as a perfectly straight line from bottom to top, usually like that. So why does it look like this? Because up top here, you're adjusting the highlights and the light. So I lifted just a bit so that the photo, you bring up a little bit of brightness, but then down here, you're dropping the blacks. So, you know, kind of if I draw this, you can see here, see the blacks? I mean, you can make it real dark, but you know, I want to see that it's sitting on a table. And then this piece here, see how those blacks kind of have that lit look to it? That's lifting the blacks. And that gives it a kind of a faded, timey look. You know, if you drop it this way, the blacks are just completely black, like deep, like you can't see anything. You can't really, depending on if you drop it too much, you can't even see that there's more shape to this other than the top circle. So let me just undo everything I did there. So that's why I leave the curve like that, so there's some light, you can see that there's shape to that thing. The blacks are a little bit lifted. Anyways, yeah, so. You know, and some people go the other way. They lift the blacks and then they drop the highlights because sometimes the photo is just way too bright. So that's another thing that people can do. Another example, this photo I took, Sabenza. You see there, I didn't touch too much of the highlights because it was lit well enough, perfectly. But I lifted the blacks there because I want you to see the blacks in the actual, the wood here. I want you to see the detail in that wood. So anyways, yeah, you know, it just depends on your preferences, which way you go. Let's see. Not EDC related, but this is a photo that I took. We were out in West Virginia. I'm sorry, no, Virginia, and we just wanted to take some kind of waterfall photos. This is a long exposure, as you said, 0. This is the original. You can see it's just a plain photo of the water. I wanted it to give you that feeling of, you know, you can see into the depths, but you could also see there's movement. You know, it was actually a nice sunny day, so I wanted to bring a little bit more color into it. So this is one that actually warmed up. Like I said earlier, I generally like more of a cooler than warmer, but so, any questions so far about anything? Man. So this one. Look at that. This is a cool photo, like cool temperature wise. The lighting wasn't the best. So I had to do a lot of work in kind of getting this back to its normal coloring, focusing on the product itself, which is the watch, but also giving this a nice fall look. So this watch is actually considered a diver watch. It's got the NATO strap. It's got it's 100 meters depth, water resistant, and then this photo was taken in fall, so I kind of wanted the orange of the NATO strap to be complemented by the fall leaves. And what's so funny about photography, right? I originally was taking this photo just on a dry surface, like this. And then my daughter, literally as I'm trying to take the photo, she walks over and just dumps her cup of water right onto the watch. How funny is that? And instead of getting mad, I said, you know what? I'm going to incorporate that element into this photo. And it, in my opinion, it really changed the mood of it in a very positive way. So, you know, sometimes you can plan a photo right down to the minor details, have it ready, and then, oh. OB, what's going on? Why did you get, Did LB say something? His messages got deleted. Anyways, so going back to that, I mean, a lot of my photos, I can't tell you, I've planned a photo shoot, I've gone through it, I've done everything I can to make a photo pop and do what I wanted to, what I envisioned it. But it's so amazing how right at like the last minute, you can just suddenly think of something that you didn't plan. You see something, you think of something, and you're like, oh, hold on, let me just switch it up a little bit. That last photo that you switch things up for, I cannot tell you how many times that ends up being like the best photo of the whole set. Whether it's an engagement photo that I've done, and I go around and I do a bunch of photos for the engagement, and then last minute we're leaving, I'm like, oh, go stand over there and pose. Do this. Bam, I take the photo, and all of a sudden it's the one that they want me to print. You know, it's... So don't be afraid if you're doing photography, just kind of let things, I don't know how to say it, but don't worry if you can't get the right photo, because last night when I took that photo of my watch, I think I spent an hour just repositioning things over and over and over again. And then, I kid you not, the box that I had things on, everything just kind of fell off of it. I was moving something, and just the way that it fell, I realized, oh, I need to turn it around and have it going, you know, a different way. That ended up being the photo. It was literally the last photo I took, ended up being the only photo I used. So, it tends to happen a lot, as frustrating as that can be, because sometimes we just have this plan, we have this idea, this vision. I also look at a lot of other people's photos to get inspiration. We'll do a huge shout out here to my friend Garrick. So this guy, he did some phenomenal stuff. So EDC Noob, clearly not a noob. Look at that, 7,478 followers. Garrick is phenomenal at photography. And a lot of the photos that he started with were just on a phone. He is the proof that you really do not have to have the best camera gear, to make the most amazing photos. So anyways, look at the composition of this. And I could try over and over and over again. So let me point out a few things in this that he has used. So first of all, why didn't he just lay them down at the bottom? Just like a flat lay. Well, it's because everything else would pretty much be out of focus except for what's laying flat on the table itself. And some people may want to do that, but this is kind of a medium where he's got it on a box, these 3 Chavez knives, which by the way, that looks, is that a Gen 3 or is that a custom? I can't tell. That's amazing. Kickstop right there. And this is a Ultramar Street. So, anyways, you can see the gear here, which I think is really cool. Such a random element. I mean, who in the world thinks I'm going to take a photo of knives and throw some old rusty looking gears into the photo? He's got other contraptions here, something that looks like maybe a lamp. So I think it's even lit. He's got his wallet here. I think, I don't think this is the hitchhiker that it resembles him. And then he's got, I think this is, oh, that's a statue right there. It's a statue. You can see there's like a leg of a person. So that's just a statue. The way he's laid this out is you take advantage of course, the length of the knives. Obviously, this is a vertical photo. The elements that are around it are not taking away from the knives, and that's the important thing. Nothing is in full, complete focus. You see half of a wallet, you see half of a lamp, you see half of an object. So, you know, a lot of times the other things are not so important that you actually have to see them. You just kind of have to have a glimpse, like an idea of like, oh, what is that? It just piques the curiosity. And Garrick does an amazing job of capturing that element of photography. I struggle with it because a lot of times I'm just going to say, I want you to see all my gear. I want you to see everything that I have in the photo. And then another thing, you see this right here. I don't know what this is, and this right here. So there is something that he's got that's completely blurred right up top here. And believe it or not, that is purposeful. That out of focus right here creates the depth. So he captures the depth where you have something really close, something in the middle, and then something really far away. What a fantastic job. He does these kind of sideways lays that are, again, really well done. These are tough because you have to place things in a way that it's almost mathematical. If you place them all perfectly neatly around it, it would actually look weird. So you have to place things kind of understanding the angle that you're looking at is, this is a depth of field that's close, but it's actually not as far away from the knife as you would think. It's like this huge gap right here is probably not as big as it looks. And then you have the skull back here, just kind of, again, piquing the curiosity. So this is one kind of more like what I would do, where you have the knife, and you have a bunch of elements that you can see. You've got his Sin City leather right here for that's his bow. Got, this looks like a, I don't think it's a Laudier coin. It's another coin that's a fidget. So, yeah, anyways, I take a lot of inspiration from what Garrick does. He's got so much random stuff that he incorporates into his photos. It's amazing. Anyways, back. Let's catch up a little bit with the chat. So, yeah, 0. The tone adjusts the tone. Brandon's coming up in here and murking High Tide. Yeah, I saw that. I was curious. Um, Man, I have trouble with waterfall long exposures. I have an ND filter, but I suck at camera settings. The ND filter is good. I mean, when you're taking long exposure photos, you of course, first and most important thing is the camera must be still as possible, whether it's on a tripod. Believe it or not, when I was taking the waterfall photos, I just sat my camera on a rock, very sturdy rock. You want to get the focus of the image of what you want to take a photo of first with regular settings, and then once you capture the focus, put it in manual, so that way it's not going to change your lens. Then you drop it down to your long exposure settings, and depending on the filter that you're using, you may want to focus on more elements of the photo or less. So that's kind of visually up to you to decide what element you want to focus on. A lot of times when you're doing a long exposure, you kind of want to focus on everything as much as possible. So generally I'll go to either between f11 to f16 in my f-stop, so that way I get a lot more in focus. But then again, it depends on the time of day, the lighting that you have. If the ND filter is too dark, you kind of have to let off of it a little bit of your f-stop. So I have an f-stop that is 8 stops, and I have an ND filter that is 10 stops. So, you know, it depends on the use of it. My background of my computer, let's see here. You know, once you get used to taking long exposure photos, they become kind of easy because you kind of know your filter and the lighting. So then it's just a matter of, okay, do you want to go 15 seconds, 20 seconds, or do you just want to go through a full 30 seconds, which is what most cameras can do, unless you have an external switch that you can go much longer for. And the longer photos are generally used for like ocean photos that you just want to capture an absolutely smooth long exposure, or night photos with the stars. A lot of times I find astrology photos are kind of difficult for me because anything more than 15 seconds of a long exposure of the stars, you're actually going to get light trails. So it depends on if you want light trails or not. I don't know if I've got my... Okay. I'll show you this one. Yeah, Brandon. Welcome back, Brandon. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Obi did, but I looked at the chat and all of a sudden I just had all this, you know, high tide, message deleted, message deleted, message deleted. So I just didn't know if Obi did or said something, or if maybe by accident he was spamming. Here, why don't I show you guys my other profile. I don't know if a lot of you know that as a, you know, I want to be in the professional photography field. So I have multiple photos that are on my other profile. Bam. So you can see here, these are photos that I've taken for actual clients that have paid me. This is my Alpha Prime Photography, is my actual photography Instagram page. But I do not focus on this at all. This was the last photo I posted, and this was 15 weeks ago. So, not a long exposure, but just a city photo. What I wanted to show you was this. This is a long exposure. So, in this photo, the elements that I wanted to capture was, first of all, what do you see here? It's a flare. It's a flare of light. And to catch this flare, this star, you have to have a high f-stop. So like f-stop 16. And then, so again, when you're using an ND filter, if you go f16, this photo gets unbelievably dark because f16 is already dark as it is. So again, what's crazy is in this photo, I did not use an ND filter at all because it was already nighttime. I went to f16 and I did an 8-second, only 8 seconds, to capture the trails of light here. So, this is an example where you do not want to use an ND filter because it's already dark enough. However, this one in broad daylight, this is one that I use an ND filter on. And I went a full 30 seconds because see this little pond actually had ducks. There were ducks swimming on this. And there were waves, obviously just wind would ripple the water a bit. So to get this absolutely glassy, smooth look, 30 seconds was the only way I could do it. And if you notice, even the clouds, you can see the movement of the clouds just a bit. But everything else is perfectly still. So, you know, this is one where I did use an ND filter. I think I did f-stop, probably f-stop between 11 and 16 again, just because I wanted to capture every bit. There's a very, very intricate mathematical equation that states if you focus 1/3 of the way, like this thing for example, roughly, just mathematically wise, even if you use a lower f-stop like f8, even though you're only going 1/3 of the way, f8 just mathematically allows you to focus on everything. So you don't have to go to f infinity. Just a really cool photography tip that I picked up. So, you know, I like focusing on the bridge, which is right in the middle there. So I still used f-stop either 11 up to 16. But just a neat trick if you had to, if you didn't have the right lighting and all the settings. Even a lower f-stop, if you focus 1/3 of the way, will allow you to capture the whole image. So, anyways. I've rambled on a bunch, so I hope you guys are still following me here. Hey, Barbarian Brawny, the Barbarian Bar. Welcome, brother. Everybody, wave and say hello to Jennifer Civillet. Apparently, I'm not her fiance, I'm her lover, so. Mike, you missed some good discussion about photos and photography. Let's see. I also went over a bunch of fidget stuff. So, you know, if there's anything you guys want to ask about photos, you know, I've kind of shown you a bunch of things. rambled on. Long exposure, editing, tone curves. So, just by the way, I have never taken a class on photography or editing. All of this is self-taught. All of this I learned as I went. Tips from people, watching videos of other people and how they edit, and then just kind of learning my own style. So, you're out of state. Oh yeah, Mike, how's it going? All right, nobody tell Jennifer, but cheers. Oh yeah. So, in fact, Mike, didn't you? Barbarian Brawny is Mike, by the way, for anyone that doesn't know. So Mike has been doing a lot of really good things lately. You know, let's kind of field trip to him real quick. Boom, boom. There's little Mikey. Look at that. So I really gotta applaud Mike. So Mike has been, I remember when I first met him, Barbarian Brawny, and you know, he had some really good photos. But I think Mike was starting with a very, yet again, proof is in the pudding. He was starting with a very basic camera, maybe even his phone. And look at the journey that he's gone through, you know. Every EDC person out there has a photo of a knife stuck in a log. It's just, you gotta do it. It's almost like breaking the ice with knife photography. You know, a lot of this is, you can see from his starting point, some clustered photos of really good depth, things kind of touching each other, not really laid out in a very composed manner. No offense, I'm not blasting you here, Mike, but maybe a little bit I am. You know, maybe spacing it out a little bit more, having a little bit more light on them to kind of separate them from the background. But you can see, you know, still amazing photos just to start his journey. Look at the water droplets here. I mean, oh, I don't know about you guys, but I love macro photos. And so seeing this was huge. I love it. Mike's always had a very dark aesthetic though. You can tell. But a lot of it, I mean, I'm just going to say, you know, again here, it's almost disorganized because I'm really distracted by all the circles of the wood here. And then, oh, look, there's a knife right in the middle of it. So it's interesting again to see the journey from that to, look at this. He's got the smoke. He's got, again, just enough depth where you can see this candle. The pen here, I think that's a refine pen. Yeah, it's definitely a refine. Yep, there we go. The bokeh right there. What a cool shot. Look at that, the bokeh leaning on the pen itself. Nice bokeh. Bouquet, whatever you want to call it. Again, a lot more purposeful. So now you can see here, this is nicely centered. And my vision is drawn only to this. Like, I can see there's other things here. I like this. I really like the fact that it's in the middle of a beer bong. But this image right here really shows that he's got the lighting just right. Fantastic. Depth of field here. He's got his own name on the pen. That's cool. Really crisp photos. You can see his dark aesthetic has transitioned a little bit more. I can tell he's lifting the blacks. in his tones. He's using tone curves, nice coloring, nothing's too amplified, it's not over edited, it's a well laid photo. So I really like what Mikey has done, and then obviously his videos. Oh, look at this. Oh, Leatherman. This rope right here is great. I love it because again, you're using depth. Let's see. Yeah. I like this one because it's peeking around. That's a really cool aspect. A lot of people like the peeking kind of composition. So, ooh. BRB4 Blaurock blades. I am desperately wanting to get my hands on this. Brandon EDM showed me his at Blade Show in Atlanta, and I mean, once you touch it, you gotta have it. Look at that, another macro on the Chris Reeve. This is an Nkosi. Well, look, so it's going perfectly across the photo. You know, a lot of people might have this either straight up and down or straight across. Boring. He's got it diagonal. He's got the depth. Your focus right there on the arm. Cool. Anyways, so check out Barbarian Brawny if you haven't already. Spoke a lot about his stuff. I'll leave you alone now. I hope you don't feel roasted or anything. It's a rite of passage. Oh yeah, the Nesmuk with the smoke 6-shot. What did I do? I keep hearing my name from across the room. Oh, Brandon OB. Apparently, for some reason, Brandon Everyday Minimalist decided to. I don't know if he timed you out or what, but all of your comments got deleted by Brandon. So, but you're back. That's what matters. So, guys, anything else you want to see? Any recommendations? People's profiles, things that you want to look at? I am. I don't know if you guys use the Instagram Explore feature, but it's actually interesting to see what Instagram considers things that you want to see. So obviously mine is just filled with Asian women. I mean, watches and knives. Digging this music, by the way. I don't know about you guys. So I don't know if you guys ever browse other people's profiles, but I've been looking at different people's profiles that actually do watch photography, specifically because I want to see what a good composition looks like. Again, I feel like I always need to see like what's the most trending type photography. Looking at this, I mean, these, I can tell these are great. You've got the depth here. One thing I don't like is I can clearly see that the highlights, they've dropped the whites. So you've got good focus here. It's the Ultra Deep Omega, beautiful watch. Personally, I wouldn't have dropped the whites and left the highlights the way that they were because you've blown out this right here. And then you've got too much white highlight going on back here. So I look at other people's photos and I see what are they doing? What's attracting people? I notice a lot of people like to incorporate cameras into the background, so I think I might start doing that. This is kind of cool. You get the beach. Just composition-wise, I think I would have put a little bit more focus on the watch itself. Just because I can't really see much of that. I see a little strap here, but I have no idea what watch that is. Clearly it's a Seiko, but I mean, just looking fun, if I didn't have that there, I actually wouldn't know what that is. Again, a little too far away, whereas you should have done something. You can still capture the sunset. You know who did a good photo? You know, I don't even know what I did. Let's go find Trevor. Trevor does a really good job of not posting photos. Where are the... Dang it, Trevor. Listen, man. Well, I can't show Trevor's photos that he hasn't posted, but Trevor's done a great job of photos that show off his arms. Hello? There we go. Okay. And I'm just kind of discussing random elements of photography and photos and composition. Like, look at this. Great photo, centered right on the watch, but you can see clearly he's a guy who's got his flannel shirt, leather belt, and jeans. He's a man's man, you know? So that's kind of when you're looking for audience for something such as a watch, who do you want to buy your product? Clearly people that are a man's man is looking for a nice watch like this. So, well done, Trevor. Let's see. And that's what I was talking about with that sunset photo. Like, I couldn't really see the watch. So, what's the purpose of a photo where a guy is just standing and you're looking at half of his shirt? You don't really know what you're supposed to be looking at. Am I looking at the sunset? Am I looking at his arm, his watch, his shirt? So you want to make sure that when you're doing a photo for a product, that you've got it centered. You've got it, you know, there's no question about it. That's what you're looking at. Again, as an example, this guy here. I don't know, am I supposed to be like, just like this? Am I looking at the guy's smile? Am I looking at this dude's earbuds? Like, was he trying to be like sneaky? Like, hey, look at this guy. Or am I looking at his watch? I can't really see the watch. So, you know, obviously this guy's not really going for a product photo. He isn't really going for that, but he did want to show his watch. Everybody recognize this guy? Mikey's been doing a great job. So, in this photo, I like the fact that he's actually got the watch centered on himself. So it's right in the middle of his body. So even if I didn't know what I was looking at here, whether it was his glasses, his hat, his shirt, his pants, the watch is the very first thing that catches your eye, without a doubt. So even though it's not completely focused, you can definitely tell that that's what you're supposed to be seeing. So anyways, I have rambled on a bunch. So anyways, guys, if anyone has any questions about photography, please feel free to DM me anytime. If you want to know about any knives, knife drops, fidget gear, Castle Grayscale gear. I recently acquired this, which is the Mistress. The Mistress pouch. It's a phenomenal pouch. I don't know that I am personally going to be rocking this pouch yet. I don't know. Only because I'm just going to say it, this is more of like a collector's item than an actual carry item. So, but thank you everyone for chatting with me. It's been a fun time, at least for me. I hope you guys maybe learned something. But if you need anything, feel free to talk to me anytime. I'm always here. So, catch you on the next live stream. Take it easy.